Well, hi. It's Sunday. It's probably going to be the designated day for football videos. NFL season's coming to a close. People on Facebook have been complaining about the national championship for college, and that's that. With our, as is the last video, I went over like the lockdown stuff that's going on in Netherlands, Germany, and France, and you can just imagine the other countries are just as bad, except for maybe Spain. I actually haven't seen anything on Facebook, so I'm wondering if the Spanish league like kiboshed itself. Not like completely failed. I should really check that right now. My name's Theo. I play middle linebacker for the Hilversum Hurricanes here in the Netherlands. I live in Amsterdam. Hilversum is a city about half an hour drive southeast of sorts. So Amsterdam's a really big city, but it's not that much of a drive. Yeah. Anyways, so it's a simple train ride from where I live. So that's pretty easy. Not really gonna talk about much. I mean, I have some stuff that's on my mind today to talk about, but first we're going to go over at least a couple comments. Let's see, we already had the unknown user on that previous video. Oh, this one. Football practices have begun 9/9/2019. That's pretty much my first practice back after the collarbone break. It's very pertinent to a comment. Dude, I want your face mask. A lot of people do. I've had some of my German friends ask me where I got it, and I said, well, I think it's only designed for Zenith helmets. So it's a bit weird, so you need to have a Zenith helmet, and some of them do, some of them don't, and it's Prowl. Again, it says, oh, and why are you so scared to tackle? Again, I had just like I hadn't even, that's not even 6 months past the thing. I had shattered I bring this up, but it's kind of pertinent because for football videos, I had shattered this collarbone. Look at that, mother. Look at that. Like, this thing goes from here to here. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's why. Like, I got better as soon as like 2020 rolled around and 2019. Like, I had to get past some mental blocks. But tackling hard is probably why it happened. I mean, I didn't break it like riding a bike or falling down some stairs. I broke it in football, and I shattered it in 4 places, and I had a hell of a recovery. And I'm just now, like, a little bit, plus the gym's closing, like, my chest is getting back up there. My back is still a little wonky because I can feel my skin pull when I push my arms all the way back. So it's like, when I do a fly, it's like, it just feels weird. It doesn't hurt, but it feels weird. Apparently then, Kellen McFarland, this is 3 comments on that same video. I don't think it would go well because I'm a free safety. And I'm going to read verbatim what my comment. Why wouldn't it go well? Free safety is back there looking to pick off those free roaming receivers. You are hunting in the backfield. This face mask is called Prowl. Like, if anything, like, yeah, you want to prowl and you're down and you're like a cat, or predator. You think of a linebacker doing that one because you're behind the line, the defensive line, you're kind of peeking over everything, and then they split the thing and then you come pouncing through. But when you think about it, you've got a bunch of receivers that possibly have beat a corner. You're this help over the top. I'm the help over the top. No, you're in the backfield finding anybody who thinks they got free reign of the place, and you're there to pick them the hell off. Like, I don't know, it's my little idea about a free safety is a lot of people think that the free safety is like, I'll go do work. And you're like, and then other people, like, that's the difference between some free safeties is, like, you've got some free safeties that are constantly watching left and right, left and right, left and right, you know, and they're watching everything play out as it happens in front of them, and they can see in the distance where that ball's going to fly, and they can just jump forward towards that receiver. And if anything, you may not be able to get up there and get an interception, but you're coming from a blind side and you knock them out. You see it in the NFL all the time. You know, and that's the thing, is like, because the free safety sometimes has 5 yards to start accelerating. You're just, and that's why you're like, free safety out of nowhere. That's pretty much that. You know, I gotta give it up to the free safeties that are super aggressive. The purveyor of the field, and then stays on, you know, but like, see, you know, is the more strategic one that stays back there and like sees how things are playing out. Then yeah, that's a little bit different. And then you can run over and like, you know, make sure that the quarterback says, hey, no, I got your guy here deep, don't go here, I'm gonna get you. That's a preventative free safety. And you can be both, but prowl would work really well if you're one of those that is basically, yeah, you're trying to pounce on the receivers that think, like, let's say you've got a receiver that just beat your corner. The corner tripped, for Christ's sake. You know, they're still a good corner, but sometimes they trip. Things happen. And you got a free running receiver. No, that guy's yours. If he's running deep, that is. I mean, if he broke the corner's ankles and is running straight across the middle field, that's my problem. Unless I'm, yeah, anyways. But yeah, that's pretty much that for the comments. There were other comments about, on previous videos, about my live stream I did last night. And I had weird things about that. I Twitch streamed World of Warcraft because it's a game that I don't have to think about much. And I could like look down at the chat because my computer's right here and my phone's sitting like right here, and I had the chat scrolling. So I'm like playing WoW, camera's looking at me on top of my monitor, and I don't have to look down every once in a while, so I don't have to think in WoW too terribly much as I would in, okay, I don't have to think in Star Trek Online either, but those games, like I said, I've been playing for a long time. So I figured I'd just idly play those in the background and answer people's weird questions about stuff. And that kind of happened. We wound up talking about WoW with someone that came in later on the stream, but I mean, I was playing WoW, so sure, let's talk about WoW, but I was hoping to talk about, just use it as a medium that people could watch and enjoy and not critique. But that's what the life that you do on the internet. Yeah, so that's that. Speaking of like live streaming and getting people through the internets and stuff and YouTube, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is about being an international football player, being an American playing in Europe. I mean, to be fair, playing in Japan or Australia or South America, Brazil, Peru even, anywhere outside the United States technically, except for Mexico and Canada. It's just awkward because despite the fact that many of the few YouTubers that do actually, that play football here, they're like import players, they put up a good face. Either that or they're just not one of those people that ever feels alone, despite the fact of sitting alone. But it's super lonely. I moved here with my husband, so that's a little different than just sitting around and like looking at your phone and trying to translate, you know, websites because you're trying to read up on stuff around you and you may not know the language. And thankfully Dutch is pretty easy to read after a while. Grammar's a little weird, but still, I'm reading like USA News, but I'm like distant from it. And I've been here like 2.5 years, and I say that was October, so it's September, no, October, or August, so September, October, November, December, January, so 2 years, 5 months, 2.5. Yeah. And it's just like, as the months, as the days go by, it's becoming more distant. And the people are becoming more distant. And I know that, like, Jacob, it's not something he necessarily brings up, but he's, a guy that doesn't necessarily bring up his problems like I do. I will spill my emotions all over the place. But I can imagine that it's a bit weird being away, because he's Australian, so he's like at different seasons also. I'm sitting here at like winter, and all my family and friends and people that I know in the States are in winter, and he's talking to his family and friends, and they're out on the beach, like, if they can. I don't know what the situation is, but yeah. But it's awkward because he lives in Germany, whereas many import players only come for the season and then they go back home. So they have like a weird 5 to 6 month job, and then they go back home. So it's almost like an extended yo-yo. It's like, oh, well, I can just deal with this because it's only 5 months and then I'll come back. But like, Jacob and I moved from our respective countries, and it's starting to... It has been, at least for me, taking its toll. And last night during the stream I realized that, because someone was asking me about the Pacific Northwest, and I was like, I mean, I still have my opinions about, Spokane and Seattle and Portland and Methford and all that jazz. But it's sort of like, it's over there. And I still play on a North American server because Blizzard doesn't allow you to change your thing over between regions. So, yeah, I don't play on a European realm. I play on a North American realm. So when I log in at like 8 o'clock in the morning, that's middle of the night for most people. And I don't have anybody around except for graveyard people or abandoned Aussies that like are trying to go out and do solo stuff on their free time. But usually work a night shift in Australia, so they play daytime in the United States. But yeah, it's awkward, and I know it's probably awkward for him because he lives here, but he lives with Marianne, but he has a job. This is my job. I effectively pay for like my health care and my football and various football gear and stuff, and I help contribute to our household economy, so it's a job. We're married, so we pay taxes on it. It's just not as lucrative as people think it is. But I've been noticing that like the points of contact are lengthening between people back in the States. Points of time contact. So like, it used to be like I'd only get in contact with someone like once a month when they check their emails and something, or sometimes it's every other day, and then now it's like every week, now it's like once a month, now it's like, are you even getting my messages? So, yeah, that's a little bit of that. And, if you're going to plan on moving over here, make sure you got some pretty thick friends. Dicke Freunde, as the Germans say. Otherwise, it could be super lonely. I apparently don't build friendships very well. I try to here, but there's almost I don't want to say a cultural divide, because there's not a linguistic divide. The friggin' Dutch speak such good English, but they don't understand the colloquial Americanisms sometimes. Like, they get some things, but like the concept of having like over-commercialized and super capitalism, they just, and like being selfish and trying to be much more satisfied with being full than enjoying the meal. Like, American football players want to win the game. They don't really want to play the game. They're just playing the game to win. Whereas many of my Dutch teammates are playing the game to play. If they win, that's good. If they lose, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. And that's humbling to know. But I'm still pretty different. But that's why people like me. It's because I'm not a celebrity robot. I'm not churned out for everyone to like.